Hi, it's Shar, and it is March 3rd, and not a whole lot more is going on. I'm just kind of documenting my thoughts through this process of waiting, and sent my attorney a message last night that just said that that this is just, I'm exhausted and that this is taking too long. So I haven't heard back from her. Hopefully, from what I heard yesterday was Dax's birthday. That's the minor that started all of this, and if I have it my way, we'll be bringing charges against him too, because he clearly knew what he was doing. Anyway, I wanted to note that, and I don't know if I've done it in previous videos, but some of the things that I've learned during this walk is that it would be really nice if we could have attorneys that have designations of DV or domestic violence, or just something where they've gone through some extra training or extra CEUs, because there's a definite difference in my current attorney and my past attorney on how I think her understanding is of domestic violence and how the cycle works. That's very important on being able to represent somebody. And I wish they had those designations, or that the general public knew the designations that people had or attorneys had, so that you knew what you were working with. What else? I think they need to have a systematized, like, instead of a Jane Doe, like a Jamie Doe, and everybody knows that's domestic violence, and you have a number, and that person can use that name and that identity to go and get power and phone and everything else on in their name. And that not everybody has access to their real names. The laws need to be changed, that if there is if there is somebody who has a no contact order and their abuser or a member of the abuser's family brings criminal charges against them, especially immediately after they got the no contact order or filed for it, that it gets a second look. And who it gets a second look by, I don't know. It would be from here in Des Moines. I've heard that there are some of the DAs that are trained in domestic violence, but nationwide, my gut is for it to go to mediation first, because at mediation, that requires them to show up and make a commitment to show up, and if they don't show up, then it gets dropped, and just have them have some commitments, because I know that my abuser went down and filed charges 12 hours after he was removed from my house, and he's never had to do anything else. He hasn't had to go to court. He hasn't had to put money down for an attorney. His life has not changed at all, and that doesn't seem quite right. So, and his son just went down for the one day, and that was it. So that seems kind of common sense to me. I read an article yesterday of how this preacher in another state, Mississippi, I believe, they were trying to make domestic violence or domestic abuse a reason for divorce, and he wouldn't let it be introduced and let it go forward. And this just baffles me, when you know that a third, could be more, a third of all homicides of women were from their domestic partner, or half of them. And so that's a pretty big number for it not to be an instigating reason why somebody can divorce somebody else, because it's all about control. And the gentleman who wouldn't bring it into legislation had his own agenda, because he's a preacher. And while I am not saying anything about his views and stuff, when you take a public office, you are supposed to be taking that in an unbiased way and not getting your own message out there, and we know that doesn't work. So it's supposed to be doing what's best for the people. So just rambling with some thoughts here. Want to make sure that I share these before I get more and get them off my plate. So anyway, I took a buyer out yesterday, wrote a sale. So business is starting to return. I got a tour tonight, 2 of them actually. And so the worrying about money is starting to ease a little bit for me. And that's good, because for 5 months, I haven't had much of any coming in. So it's long needed. So anyways, that's my update. Bye.